It's no secret by now that I am a natural saver. I always have been. I was only 8 years old the first time I decided I wanted to save up for a big purchase. I wanted a guitar more than anything in the world, but my mom just couldn't afford to buy me one. And I remember searching through the Sears wish book. Remember the Sears wish book? So I remember searching through the Sears wish book and finding this kid-size acoustic guitar. It was like $100, and I was just heart set on having this guitar. Unfortunately, being 8 years old, I didn't have $100, but I became determined that I was going to save up and I was going to get it. And it took me a very long time because obviously I didn't have a job. The only time that I ever really got money was if it was my birthday or the holidays and somebody gave me a gift. So it took me a while, but eventually I saved up this $100. And I remember calling into the Sears wish book to place the order and being so excited not only to get the guitar, but being so proud of myself of what I was able to accomplish. And in that moment, I almost felt like I had a superpower. I know how silly that sounds, but I felt like I could buy anything in the world that I wanted. That anything I wanted was within my reach if I could just save up for it. And while that's definitely an oversimplification of life, and I guess the perspective of an 8-year-old, in some way, it's kind of true. It was in that moment when my guitar finally arrived that I realized the value of delayed gratification and of prioritization, obviously long before I had ever heard or was able to understand those big words. And it's a lesson that I have since carried with me in life to such a degree that it's kind of just a default setting that my brain operates on nowadays. That mindset and that strategy that allowed me to stay so focused and so fixated on just getting that thing that I wanted and accomplishing what I was going after is the exact same mindset and strategy that I have continued to use time and time again to get the things I want in life and to achieve the goals that I set for myself. It's actually very simple. If something's not important to me, I just don't buy it because I know that there are probably other things that are a lot more important to me and I'd rather allocate my money to them. With this mindset front and center, it seems quite obvious in retrospect why I was so naturally drawn to minimalism. Because the entire premise of minimalism is to reduce noise and to remove excess from your life, to cut out all of the things that don't matter, specifically so that you can focus on and indulge in all the things that do matter. But this is not at all the same as being cheap or even being frugal. And while there are certainly things that I'm frugal about, I wouldn't really even say that I consider myself to be a frugal person overall. The things that I do tend to cheap out on are just the things that don't really matter to me at all, the things that don't improve my life in any notable way. And I do so explicitly for the reason of being able to then spend guilt-free on the things that do improve my life and do make me happy that I do care about. And to me, that's not frugality, that's intentionality, and maybe even just common sense. I've been into personal finance as a hobby for about 10 years now, but it has always been just a means to an ends for me. It has never been about hoarding money or about trying to pinch every penny as hard as possible. It's never been about just trying to optimize absolutely every aspect of my life in effort to spend as little money as possible. That sounds exhausting. It sounds like an unexamined life to me. But if, like me, you've consumed a lot of finance content, you may have gotten the idea that that is the goal, that it's all about optimization and hoarding money and saving as much money as possible. And it's easy to think that because every finance YouTuber, every money book, every fire blog, they all seem to be sharing the exact same core messages over and over again. Things like increase your income as much as possible, decrease your expenses as much as possible, save and invest as much money as you possibly can, and if you do this for your entire adult life, you will be a multimillionaire in your 60s. And to be honest, it's true. The formula works, the math checks out. And given the financial situation so many people are in nowadays, living so far beyond their means, drowning in debt, not saving any money at all for retirement, maybe this is the advice that people actually need to hear. Or is it? While following this formula will indeed allow you to retire a millionaire, the question that a lot of people are then left with is, okay, but what until then? Like most of us understandably don't want to sacrifice the next 30 to 40 years of our lives just to have a good life when we're old, because that's a long time to be unhappy until then. For most people, even a guarantee of $5 million at retirement is not enough to convince them to live off of store-brand Cheerios and canned beans until then, and who can blame them? In fact, I've come to believe that it is specifically that kind of advice that has caused so many people to make such self-sabotaging decisions, to just go to the opposite extreme because it seems completely unachievable and unsustainable. So they just go wild and they just spend every dollar they make and then some because it doesn't seem like something that they're capable of doing. And so that advice that was specifically intended to be helpful has actually done the exact opposite. It has overwhelmed people and caused them to just push it all away, go to that extreme end, get themselves into debt, and set themselves up for a life of financial hardship in the long run. And I'll say personally that there was a period of time in my life when I tried to be that extreme, and I was actually pretty good at it. I think I was better than average at it, but it's still not something that I wanted to do forever. I did it, it helped me get to where I want to be. I don't even regret it because in a lot of ways, I know that being that extreme and being that disciplined is what helped me achieve the things that were important to me. But it's not something that I would want to do forever because quite frankly, it's exhausting. And it left me feeling like, okay, I've used it for the purpose I needed to use it for, but now what? Like, there has to be more to life. There has to be a better way. But there is one finance book I've read that I think actually offers a new perspective and something a little bit more insightful than the rest. It's called I Will Teach You to Be Rich, and it's by Ramit Sethi. He actually has a podcast that accompanies the book, which I watch here on YouTube quite frequently. In the book, Ramit still goes over the basics of finance. He still talks about saving, he talks about investing, he talks about all the things we all need to know, but he approaches them through what I find to be a very refreshing lens of being able to build what he calls a rich life. Meaning that if you automate your saving and your investing, you can actually allocate a good chunk of your income to spending guilt-free on the things that make you happy today, not just in 30 or 40 years from now. I know it sounds simple, but it's actually been a life-changing perspective for me, and I think it's absolutely a worthwhile read. But if, like me, you're the type of person who likes to grasp the key takeaways from a book and start applying it immediately before going through the whole book, then consider trying today's sponsor, Blinkist. Blinkist is an app that features over 6,000 nonfiction books which they've condensed into blinks that you can either read or listen to in roughly 15 minutes. This way you can quickly get all the important information without any of the fluff or filler. I often listen to blinks while I'm driving or while I'm cleaning my house because I love to read and I love to learn new things, but I don't always have the time to be able to read all the books that I want to. So Blinkist helps me read more books faster and make the best possible use of my time. They've also recently added a really cool new feature called Blinkist Spaces, which lets you recommend your favorite books to friends and family and share them within the Blinkist app. So even if they don't have a Blinkist membership themselves, they can still access and enjoy all of your recommendations just the same. And just for you guys, Blinkist is offering an incredible deal. If you sign up using my link in the description box below, you will get a whopping 40% off your annual Blinkist Premium membership, and you can get started with a free 7-day trial. So just click the link below to get started, and thank you to Blinkist for sponsoring today's video. So all of this has left me asking, what is a rich life, and what does living a rich life look like to me? What is actually important to me? What do I value? What do I actually get joy from spending money on? Through minimalism, I've actually been asking myself the opposite for years now. I've been asking myself things like, is this actually necessary? Do I actually need this? Do I actually want this? What would happen if I didn't have this? How much of the stuff that I own do I actually need to own? But only more recently have I been starting to look at things from the other side. Without much difficulty, I can easily name several things that are not important to me, that I don't find value in. Things like having a TV. I don't really care about TV, so I don't own a TV, and I don't have streaming services because they're not important to me. If I cared, I'd go buy a TV, but I just don't, at least not right now. Likewise, I could go out tomorrow and buy a brand new car if I really wanted to, but I just don't care about cars. The car I have is perfectly fine, and I have no reason to need to spend more money to get a new one. Doing so would not improve my quality of life in any way. I'll drive this car basically till the wheels fall off, and at that point, I'll probably go out and buy yet again another reliable used car in good condition that is affordable and that is reasonable, because it's not going to improve my life to spend more money than I need to on it.
I drive a hybrid. It's much better for the environment. Thanks!
I enjoy cooking my own meals at home. I think that the food that I make is not only healthier, but better tasting than most of the things I can get at a restaurant. And so to me, the convenience of ordering takeout is not actually proportionate to the amount of money that it costs me, because I enjoy cooking and I'd actually rather do it myself. And on the odd occasion that I do order takeout, I'm perfectly happy to go pick it up myself and save a few extra bucks. It's just not that important to me to have it delivered. But on the other hand, when I grocery shop, I don't hold back. I like the things that I like. I want to eat the foods that I enjoy. I know that I'm already saving a lot of money just by cooking at home, and so I don't really hesitate to buy the food ingredients that I like, even if they're not the cheapest. To me, having the good olive oil and having the fresh bread is a part of my rich life, and it's worth it. Likewise, when it comes to clothing, I have a hard time finding clothing that I like that fits me. I'm quite tall and I have very long arms and a long torso, and I always feel like the things that I like don't fit the way that I want them to. But when I find a piece of clothing that does fit me well, and that I really like, and that is good quality, and that I know I'm gonna get a lot of wear out of, I'm happy to spend a lot of money on it. I wear fancy designer jeans because I love them. Are they a necessity? Of course not. But they make me happy, and they're a part of my rich life. And so is my house. Though I've definitely been going at it slowly, I enjoy spending money on decor and furniture. When I moved in here, I spent a good chunk of change on renovating the place, because to me, being happy and comfortable in the place that I live in is one of the best ROIs I can possibly get on my money. And then there's this guy. He cost me an arm and a leg, unfortunately much of which comes from the vet bills, because he is 12 now, and he has a heart condition that he was diagnosed with almost 3 years ago. And unfortunately, I have to spend several $1,000s a year at the vet to keep him healthy. And I'm okay with that because he's my boy and I love him and he makes me happy, and it's my responsibility and my honor to take care of him. Do I wish that he was healthy and that I could use that money spoiling him in other ways other than just paying for his medical bills? Of course. But I'm not going to hold back on him. It's my pleasure to take care of him. And just as a little side note, for anybody who likes to leave me comments saying I should get rid of my dog because he's a waste of money, I'll just say that I feel kind of sorry for you, that you've probably never really experienced actual love in your life, and also go fuck yourself. Like I said, I'm a natural saver, so I instinctually catch myself very often saying no to myself. I see something I want and I go, oh no, I don't need that. But lately I've been stopping and asking myself, why not? If I am on track for my goals and I'm out of debt and it's something that I can afford and it's something that I like, why not? The future is very important to me, and I hope to retire long before I'm 60. Ideally before I'm 40, but I guess we'll see. I want to have the freedom in my life to spend my time how I want to spend my time, to wake up every morning and decide in that moment what I want to do that day. I think that's everybody's dream, isn't it? But I also want to be comfortable today. Living a rich life doesn't necessarily mean being rich or wealthy in a monetary sense. It just means having control over your finances and over your life, so you can reasonably splurge on the things that allow you to live a rich quality of life. And that opportunity, in some way, shape, or form, is accessible to almost everyone. The key is to be ruthless in cutting back on the things that don't contribute to your happiness, so you can be a little frivolous with the things that do. I rarely spend $1 impulsively. Every purchase I make is thought out and considered and planned. Every purchase is intentional, and that, at least to me, is the guiding principle of minimalism. It's not a race to the bottom. It's not a competition of deprivation. It's a cheat code to live your best life on your terms, to question the status quo for sure, but to help you figure out where exactly it is you want to go. Most people don't consider themselves to be minimalists or don't think they have an interest in minimalism because they think that they own too many things, or they like bright colors, or they like a lot of eccentric decorations in their house, or whatever else. Maybe you don't want to have a house full of white walls. Maybe you don't want to spend every day of your life wearing gray. Maybe you don't want to compulsively organize every item you own. But I mean, who would want to live like that anyways? Oh shit. But to me, owning a lot of things, or surrounding yourself in bright colors, or spending money on things that are wants even if they're not needs, none of that disqualifies you from minimalism. If those choices were intentional and if they make you happy, then that is minimalism, because you're doing what best serves you. You are spending money and time and energy on the things that make you happy. Minimalism is not about white and gray emptiness. Well, now this is just getting awkward. Minimalism is about thoughtfully curating your life in a way that works for you, and personally, I don't think that that's an unpopular or an extreme way to live at all. I think minimalism and financial literacy are completely intertwined and they go hand in hand. Whether or not we like it, for most of us, money has to be a consideration in our lives. It dictates what we can and can't do. But minimalism allows you to discover what you actually want to do. And isn't that the real question we should be asking? But as always, these are just my thoughts. This is just the world according to Nicole, and I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. What does a rich life look like to you? And do you agree that money and minimalism go hand in hand? If you enjoyed this video at all, please go ahead and hit that like button. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't done so yet. You can follow me on Instagram at according_to_Nicole. Other than that, thank you guys so much as always for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next week.